Hi, I'm Sarah Parsons, and I am your booklegger this month. And for some reason I couldn't come to your classroom, but I still want you to know about the books that will come in your booklegger backpack. I have two graphic novels. And I'm sure many of you like the graphic novels. The first one is called Press Start. It is part of a series, and I got this as a recommendation from a friend who teaches in Rockford, and she teaches lots of third and fourth graders, and they really enjoyed this book. I'm going to read the table of contents for you. There's a chapter called Press Start, Trouble, Super Rabbit Boy, The Adventure Begins, Try Again, Hop or Sink, Super Secrets, Uh-oh, If at First, Lost, and Battle Time. And one thing I noticed on this is that the chapters are nice and short, and sometimes I really like that. So it's always game on with Super Rabbit Boy. Animal Town is in trouble. Meanie King Viking and his robot army are spending no fun across the land. Only Super Rabbit Boy can save the day, but first he must make it past sand traps, lava, and lots of robots. Will Super Rabbit Boy reach the final level, or will it be game over? And I'm sure there's some of you in here that like to play video games, and so this is all about a video game. The next graphic novel I have is called The Great Pet Escape. And this is about a school, and there are other books in this series. There's one about first grade, one about second, and one about third for sure. This one is about 3 of the animals who are class pets. And each class in this school has a class pet. There's Biter, he's in kindergarten, he's a guinea pig. There's Barry, Barry's a first grade rabbit. And there's GW, which stands for George Washington, and he's the second grade hamster. Well, George Washington, GW, decides that he is done being a class pet, and he would like to escape. So he figures out how to escape, and part of that is convincing the second graders that he likes their stuff. And so they give him their stuff, thinking that he's just burying it. What he's doing is he is making an escape-o-matic. And the escape-o-matic helps him escape one night. And he goes and gets the other animals, and they start down the hallway. They're going to escape this school. And you know, at nighttime, the only person there is the janitor. So there's no people in this story except the janitor. They're going down the hall, and they meet Harriet. And Harriet is a mouse, and she has lots of mice with her. And Harriet is not being nice, and so GW and Biter and Barry decide that they need to stop this mean stuff. It ends up with a food fight at night, and because the GW, Barry, and Biter do not want Harriet ruining all the food, but they end up having a food fight, so I'm not certain about that. And then how the problem is solved, and in the end, wondering, do they want to be class pets still, or are they done with being a class pet? It's our second book, The Great Pet Escape. This book is called Stella Diaz Has Something to Say, and it's by Angela Dominguez. I'm going to tell you some things that I learned about Stella as I was reading the book, and while I'm telling you the things about Stella, I want you to think about what you have in common with her, or maybe things that you don't have in common. Things I know about Stella. She's in 3rd grade, so there you have one things in common. She lives with her mom and her big brother Nick. She's shy. She has a speech problem with how she says the words. She understands everything and she knows lots of words, but sometimes her words come out and they don't sound quite right. And there are some people that make fun of her for how she speaks. She loves fish. She's lonely because her best friend from last year is in the other classroom. She was born in Mexico and immigrated when she was little. Sometimes, because she speaks Spanish at home and English at school, sometimes she mixes the two of them up, and there's one person who makes fun of her for that. And this story is also about new friends and bullies. In this 3rd grade class, they have to do a report on animals. and they get to pick whatever animal they want, and they have things that they do throughout the year. And she's really into this until the teacher tells them that they have to do a report in front of the class. And you know that she has this little speech problem, and she's shy, so this really bothers her. And so how she gets over that. Stella Diaz has something to say. Hope you like that one. This is our bilingual book. It's called A Bilingual Doggy Tale, El Perro con Sombrero. Bilingual is a word that you can break up into two parts. The bi means two, like a bicycle has two wheels, bi, and then lingual is language. So in this book, it is written in two languages. The black is English, and the red is Spanish. You don't have to be able to read both languages. You could read either one. If your grandma at home speaks Spanish, you can take this home and you can read it with grandma in Spanish. You can read it in Spanish or English here at school. El Perro con Sombrero. I'm going to start you out. There's two problems in this story. Let's see what those two problems are. Pepe was a very sad dog. He had no home and no family to love him. One day, Pepe was begging for food in the street when a sombrero flew off the balcony and landed right on his head. And we have our first problem. The first problem being he has no home and he has no one to love him. He looked so handsome in the sombrero, a grocer gave Pepe a juicy bone. Yum. Then a movie director drove by in an expensive car. He shouted, "Cool, a Perro and a sombrero. You must be in my movies." Pepe became the star of many great films. He played a cowboy dog. He played a romantic singer. In a comedy, he even ate a habanero pepper. He made a lot of money. But he was still sad because he still didn't have a family to love him. Lying in his dog mansion, Pepe had no one to pet him and hug him. Only his adoring fans gave him comfort. They sent him lots of mail. So his fans love him, but he still doesn't feel very loved. But someone did not like Pepe. El gato en zapatos. And there you have the second problem. So I wonder how that's going to get solved. So this one is El Perro con Sombrero. This one's a short book, so it wouldn't take you very long if you just have a little bit of time to read. I have two non-fictional books that are true. The first one is called Hidden Figures, the true story of 4 black women and the space race. This is about astronauts and the people that help the astronauts get into space and when rockets were first getting started. So this is a nonfiction book, and it's very interesting. The first part starts out kind of like a story. Dorothy Vaughn, Mary Jackson, Katherine Johnson, and Christina Darden were good at math, really good at math. In 1943, the United States was at war, World War II. Dorothy Vaughn wanted to serve her country by working for the National Advisory Committee for Aeronautics, the government agency that designed airplanes. Having the best airplanes would help America win the war. Making airplanes fly faster and higher and safer meant doing lots of tests at the agency's laboratory. Tests meant numbers, numbers meant math, and math meant computers. But this was 1940. Today we think of computers as machines, but in the 1940s, computers were actually people like Dorothy, Mary, Catherine, and Christine. Their job was to do math. So they had to do all the calculations to make sure that the rockets went up and stayed up in the right way. But this was 1940. Because Dorothy was black and a woman, some people thought it would be impossible for her to get a job as a computer. She lived in Virginia, a southern state where laws segregated or kept apart black people and white people. They could not eat in the same restaurants. They could not drink from the same water fountains. They could not use the same restrooms. They could not attend the same schools. They could not play in the same sports teams. They could not sit near each other in movie theaters. They could not marry someone from a different race. So times were very different then. So even getting the same job, just because they were black and a woman, was a problem. But they did get the job, and they helped with the airplanes, and they helped with the rockets. There was even an astronaut who said he wouldn't go up into space unless one of these 4 women had been the one who had figured out all the calculations for it. At the end of the story, so the first part is written kind of like a story, but it's a true story. At the end, there's a timeline about the 4 women. And then there's a short biography of each one, and it gives all the important parts of their life. So this is called Hidden Figures. Your parents might know this. There was a movie made about these 4 women recently. Hidden Figures. And I have one last book. It's called For the Birds. And this book is a little different. Most books we start at the beginning and then we read straight through. This one, you can do that, but you can also skip around and read the parts that either you need for some research if you were needing more information about birds, or you can read the parts that just interest you. So the first time I read the book, I read kind of like this. I'm not reading all the words. I'm reading some of the captions, some of the titles. I'm just getting an idea of what the book was about. That was the first time I read the book. Second time, I stopped at the table of contents because I really wanted to know what was in this book. There's an introduction. There's a section called Our Feathered Friends, and that's all about facts, tree feathers, and that's a story. Liftoff, Why Birds Can Fly. Flightless, Why Some Birds Can't Fly. Icarus, and that's another story. Birdman, Bird Talk, A Crazy Day at the Beach. I want to show you A Crazy Day at the Beach is, it's like a little graphic novel right in the middle of the story, but it's about a bird. Then there's a part about migration, part about carrier pigeons, the golden swans, where's the paper bag, beak and bills, on guard, birds of prey, birds that have disappeared, and oil spill. So all of those different things pertaining to birds. So maybe you have just a few minutes and you just want to relax. Maybe you want to pick this up and just read the short graphic novel. Maybe you're really interested in birds and you want to read the whole thing. Maybe you just want to look through it and get some facts about this. Now, when I was reading the last time, I found my favorite bird. I really like birds, but my favorite bird is a bald eagle. When I was a little girl, bald eagles were almost extinct and you never ever saw them. Here in Beloit now, you can go down by the river and sometimes you can see them fishing. You can go by the golf course, and last summer there was 2 eagles that had a baby eagle, and they raised the baby eagle at the golf course. So now you can see them a lot. So this is what it says about bald eagles. I'm a bald eagle. Do not hide. I can see in front of me and at the side, all at once. I can see 4 times better than you. Look, I can see that rabbit a mile away. You see nothing. We couldn't see a rabbit a mile away. Of course I can hear, not as well as an owl, but I can hear. I have 7,000 feathers. You have none. And I can swim if I have to for fish. I love fish. Last year, I ate a dead seal for 2 weeks. Delicious. Lots of fat. Dead or alive, food is food. I eat what I want. I have no enemies. I'm the bald eagle. So I'll leave you with that. I hope you enjoy this book all about birds. Thanks, and make sure you check out your books from the backpack, and I'll see you another time.